out in the garden back to the broccoli, we started to, the last time we were here looking at the broccoli, it seemed like an unusual thing had happened. The broccoli produced wonderfully, great big wonderful heads when it should have early. Afterwards, it kept producing side shoots for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. What I did is every time I noticed that it was trying to flower, to go to seed, I'd trim that off so the plant's continually growing, because it never gets the chance to go to seed or bolt like lettuce would, if you would. Well, then I went away on vacation, and while I was away, it got really hot. First time it had really been that hot all summer. When I came back, the broccoli just looked like it had been destroyed. It looked like, I mean, the bugs and the things had just eaten where there wasn't anything left of the leaf. It just the center spine sticking up is all it was. And it looked like they didn't have a hope in the world. But I came and trimmed off everything that looked ugly. And I thought, well, the roots are in place. I know there's lots of nutrients. I know there's moisture. Let's just see what happens. It seems like that when things got really stressed because of the heat, the bugs come and think it's stressed and think it's time to take it out. And so normally you would have just pulled it up, but I wasn't going to do something else with the ground. So I thought, let's just leave it and see what happened. We trim, you can see on the new growth, I don't know how, if you can see where you are, but the old stuff underneath over here and so on, I mean, that part of the plant just looks like it's destroyed. But all the green stuff on top, that's all brand new growth. Here, you can see on this one. This one's having a hard time, and you can see we took off everything, and it's coming back, but it's really having a struggle. All of these were in that place, and what we did is every time there's something that I know I'm not going to eat it, see, this has got dark around it, and some of it's tried to go to seed, and it's got some little bug damage on it. So when I go around and trim everything that just doesn't look good. And right now, because it's been hot, we just go ahead and trim everything pretty close, knowing that as it cools off, believing it's going to take off and grow again. Once this summer, 6 weeks or more ago, I brought my daughter and little twins out here, and I cut off some broccoli and gave it to them, thinking I'm going to bless them. Well, the 2-year-old twins made a face and spit it out, and my daughter made a face, and I thought, what's going on? And I cut a piece off like we've done hundreds of times and put it in my mouth, and sure enough, it turned strong and bitter. And so I thought, well, that's it. We'll just have to take it all out. But I don't know why, but I didn't, and I just let it go, and it's cooled off, and as soon as it cooled off, the broccoli got sweet again. So my hope is that it'll come, it's not going to get a center head again. But the side shoots that we had, it wasn't unusual to get one like a tennis ball, lots and lots of them, like a ping pong ball. And so my hope is that even though this has been here all this time, and usually it would be gone from a traditional garden, I'm believing with the Eden and the cover and the nutrients and all that, I'm believing there's a good chance that when it cools down a little bit, and this is September 20th, so it will soon, I'm believing we're going to eat broccoli yet this year. That's our hope. We'll let you know. And I was telling Wayne, one of the only ways I could find to really work with a hoe is a hoe like this. This is called a Warren hoe. With a traditional hoe, if you go down and if there's something big underneath, the hoe hits it and the hoe won't go down, even though it may be loose on to the right and left of it, to the front and behind it. But with this hoe, you can you just dig right down through. And it is just the easiest way to get up weeds and work. Someday we won't need this. A regular hoe, a regular rake will work once we get everything composted down to a manageable size. Let me show you what's right behind you. Because Wayne, this is all big stuff. This is all the stuff that when we were bringing, we brought about 200,000 pounds of stuff like this, and you can see when you're trying to hoe, it just doesn't work. There's a nail in it, drywall screw in it. But even with the big stuff, you can see what's happening underneath of it. The the ground is loose. It just rained in the last half hour. We got maybe a quarter of an inch, a third of an inch. And here we walked right out on the garden, and you couldn't do that if it wasn't, if the ground wasn't covered like this. So you can see that lots of this is loose and really, really good stuff. Looking back on it, I wish I'd found the good stuff before, but that's how we started, and the Lord knows. It's ending up good. But what that means, it's difficult for me to plant a row like you normally would with a push planter and things, because it just doesn't work with all the hunks and chunks in it. So what we've had to do sometimes is just to move it aside and make a little planting hole sometimes and plant the seedling down in it. I asked Wayne, I wanted to get one thing in before we ran out of video for sure. When I was away on vacation, we had beans right in here, and they were just going. They were beautiful, and they were going to town. They're at the end of their life, and they came to the end of their life when it got hot. But there were two things in the garden that just had not been doing very well at all. And when I came back, they'd gotten their breath, and they've just taken over nearly everything. One of them are sweet potatoes. Now, we found the hard way that rabbits love sweet potatoes. And when you plant that little slip, that tender little slip comes up, and these little rabbits, that one day I came out and there was 4 rabbits in the garden all at the same time. Now, I've got a gun, and I could have done that, and I've got an electric fence I could have put up, but I thought, well, the Lord made them too, so I kind of made space for them too. And some of it they left alone, but some of them, especially the things by the woods, they just come and nibble it off, and nibble it off. And so that the plant's alive at all is a wonder. But I want you to see what happened. When I left, these plants were hardly alive at all. When I came back, now this is one row of sweet potatoes. I walked down at the end, and you have taken off 8 feet one direction and 8 feet the other direction, and they have swallowed up whatever was there. Wayne's standing in some strawberries, and I've been pulling them off to the side to keep them from overtaking the strawberries. You can see right here, there's a squash plant, and it's still doing its best. There's still, back there looks like the squash will be good on the dinner table tonight. And there's one that's a larger one that's really past its usefulness for us. But this was a row of squash, and the sweet potatoes came to the squash, they overtook the squash, and now they're all the way over, I'd say 6-7 feet on the other side of the row that once was there. This is the other plant that went wild while I was away. Now, it's already started dying back now, but you can look out and see there are butternut squash everywhere. I only planted a few plants, and the few plants I planted went more than a month, maybe 6 weeks, and didn't hardly grow at all. And I'm just wondering if they were going to go at all. And when I came back, this is what I came back to. I don't have any idea how many butternut squash are out there. The butternut squash have overtaken, and now they're running. Some of them are, I don't know, maybe 15 feet from where they started. The squash back here, I don't know what kind of squash they are. It's just one that looked good on the seed packet, and so I planted. They're a winter squash.
Acorn, I believe.
I know that, but I haven't tried them yet. There's something right at Wayne's feet. Here's something to show you. I was telling you earlier about how the rabbits just love sweet potato. These are sweet potato plants that were planted at the same time as those down there that have taken over the world. And if you'll look, and if you can see, they've been chewed off. There and there and there and there and there and there and there. 10 places maybe all right there. The rabbits come and just keep them pruned. And so I don't guess these will have time to do anything. I don't see how they could. But anyway, right behind you are some kale. And I just discovered something today. I just put these out a couple of days ago. These were seeds that we planted in a container on the patio. They didn't get sun, and they weren't ever going to do anything. And I started throwing them away, and I thought, well, let's give them a try. I brought them out here, and I just bare rooted them right down into the compost. Now this is compost that we got. This was the stuff that came from the horse stables, and this is all compost. This is not compost and something else mixed together. And so we've tried it different ways. This morning, about 8 or 9 o'clock, I came out and everything looked healthy. And I don't know if Wayne can get it over here, but I want you to look at this plant right here. You can see we've had a visitor. Mm-hmm. The rabbits evidently like tender kale too. Mm-hmm. So I've got some stuff that I can spray. I think it's supposed to smell like coyote urine, or I'm not sure what it is. It doesn't smell very good. It doesn't kill anything, but it makes things so unpleasant, hopefully, that the rabbits won't eat them. So I'm going to try to nurse the kale past the rabbit stage, and hopefully we'll be eating kale yet this fall. The best way to tell what kind of soil you have is to pull a weed. Now, I try to keep the weeds out of here, but I saw this one as really Wayne and I were finished. If it pulls up, and I'm hoping it does. Now, I'm not pulling hardly at all.
Yeah, you got the whole thing.
Nothing to it. That's some beautiful, beautiful soil. I can't wait till it even composts further and we put new mulch on it and it sits over the winter. Next spring is going to be an awesome time.